Welcome to What's That Pen? Helping you find your next perfect pen. My name is Amanda Arneill, and today we are looking at the Sharpie brush pen. This is a 12-pack of brush pens, and it comes either with this carry case or without the carry case, but I think the difference was $0, so why not get the carry case? Keep in mind that these pens are different than the Sharpie brush markers, which are a thicker and shorter brush pen. They're more of the traditional Sharpie type of ink, but those brush markers fray really badly and don't last long at all. So I'm hoping that these Sharpie brush pens are different than the Sharpie brush markers. Two totally different pens. This carrying case even has a little note about how to store your pens, and that is horizontally. And when pens tell you that's the best way to store them, listen to the pens. So inside this case, which is actually a really convenient way to carry your pens, great design Sharpie, there are 12 different pens. And these two look like the same color, but they're actually not. These give you a good variety of colors with some muted pastelish tones, and then your regular red, orange, yellow, green, and blue situation. I use these pens in order to make this piece here by overlapping some of the colors. You can even mix and match a little bit to get further colors, which you can do with lots of pens, but I found it really easy with the Sharpies. This pack of Sharpie brush pens costs $12.99 for 12 pens, so that is about $1 per pen. Not too bad. These pens are not acid-free, but they are fade and water resistant. Usually we see all of those put together where they are acid-free. These ones aren't. So keep that in mind if you're using them for a long-term project. They're alcohol-based, so that means that they also dry really quickly, making them great for lefties. These pens have a brush nib, and unlike many other brush pens that I've tried, it has a really long, thin brush nib. That's a little bit different, and it could impact how you use the pen. Let's see how it goes for our upstrokes and downstrokes. Now there is quite a bit of flex in that pen, but you'll notice that the flex is happening right at the very top or the base of the pen. And then it allows you to get back up onto the pointed area of the pen pretty easily. For your thick and thin lines, the thick line is, I would say, a medium size, more on the smaller size of medium. This was pushing really hard, and then this is more the width that you could expect for the majority of your project. And your thin line is a really nice thin line. And I was doing that pretty quickly, but it stayed really quite consistent. So that is something that I love because those thin lines are usually what trip us up. For nib rebound, let's do a bunch of downstrokes and upstrokes quickly to see if it gets stuck in a flexed position. And holding it here, you can see there is a tiny little bit of flex up, but it's at the very base of the pen, not at the tip of the pen, which is nice because if it's curved too much, that means that you're going to get messy upstrokes, whereas this way, with it just being at the base, your upstrokes will still stay nice and crisp. So this one is definitely slightly above average. And one thing to point out is that these are not Sharpie markers in the traditional sense that they are going to be permanent on everything. That is what those other Sharpie brush markers are for, but the Sharpie pens are more for pieces that you would be doing on paper. So that is something to pay attention to. The writing size of these are a medium writing size, but that tip, at least for the amount that I've used these so far, maintains itself really, really nicely. Let's do our juiciness test by coloring this in. I do it messy because I want to get lots of ink down there quickly and smear. There's a tiny, tiny little bit of smear. I am going to say I put a lot of ink on there. So let's do a 3-second test. 1, 2, 3, and smear and there is nothing. They do have a relatively juicy color quality, at least for some of the colors, but then others like this purple, I find that it looks like it's actually faded into the paper a little bit. It's not a bright, vibrant purple that looks like it's sitting on top of the page. So that is something to keep in mind for the color quality. So these have a regular juiciness, meaning that I was able to smear them a little bit, but then after a while they were pretty dry. I would say that these are probably an average pen for the lefty. Now, ease of transition. Let's see how easy it is to go from an upstroke to a downstroke and then back up to an upstroke and have those upstrokes match up in their size. And it's very, very easy with this pen to get those consistent upstrokes. Here, that was just user error. I was going a little bit too fast, but your upstroke ends up being nice and thin at the end of your transition from heavy pressure to light pressure, making these really quite easy to use for that transition. Because of that, on a scale of yay, okay, nay, or stay away, I would say that these are definitely a yay. All in all, the Sharpie brush pens are one that I was surprisingly happy with when I was using them because mostly of that transition. That is a huge pro in their favor. It's super easy to get nice crisp upstrokes even after your downstroke. And not only that, but to have those upstrokes happening right when you want them to, which is so important, and that heavy weight isn't getting pulled into your upstroke. I would say another plus is that these are alcohol-based, so typically that means that they dry quite quickly and the thin line stays nice and thin and crisp. Another plus is the fact that they are fade and water resistant, whereas a con, usually related to fade and water resistant, is that they are not acid-free, meaning that you won't want to use these for projects that you want to last for 5 years or more. You also want to pay attention to the fact that the colors don't necessarily stay super vibrant. That would also be a con. So while they are very easy to use, the fact that the colors are not incredibly vibrant is something that might make me hesitate with these pens. However, at $1 per pen, the ease of use, it's also something that if I had to make a quick poster or if I had to make a really quick piece that I just wanted to be able to quickly create that project, these would be a great pen to choose because you know that your writing will look really good, even if the color isn't necessarily as bright as you would like. I think that's why I ended up combining some of the colors in the title piece, just because I wanted it to have a little bit something more special. So keep in mind that with any pen that you choose, probably the ease of use is more important than your colors, because with a little bit of creativity, you can definitely take somewhat lackluster colors and use your talents to make a beautiful piece in the end.